Welcome to Pop Up to Powerhouse, the podcast where side hustles turn pro. Here, we're pulling back the curtain on what it takes to build a standout, profitable brand in the event industry. From pricing with confidence to landing luxury clients, I'm sharing the wins, the setbacks, and everything in between, so you can turn your passion into a powerhouse business. Welcome back to another week of Pop Up to Powerhouse. And this week, I am so excited for our first guest interview. I am in Arizona, and we are going to be sitting down with Matiana of Dang Fine Rentals, a brand that has truly become a powerhouse brand in the event industry. If you've ever wondered what it's like to actually scale a creative business, hire employees, let go of creative control, or take something that was small and turning it into something that has employees and a warehouse, this episode is for you. This episode is going to give you real behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to make that happen. Before we sit down, we are going to walk in and get a tour of Dang Fine's warehouse, because if you haven't seen it on social media, it is amazing, and she has designed it so fun. So let's go inside and take a peek. Are these all from events that you've done?
Uh-huh.
I love it.
Yeah, this is all from events.
It-
We were in like a whole bunch of warehouses at first.
Mhm.
I would rent one and then had to get another, but they were never next to each other, like 4 down an entire street. So I had 10,000 square feet, but they were down a street.
Yeah.
So I bought this place in 2024 because I was like, I want one box. I have a vision. So now everything's like painted and every bathroom is designed. Everything is like exactly how I envisioned it.
Yeah.
I was like, I want it to be
Fun, creative.
I wanted it to be Dang Fine.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like, yeah, every single thing that you see out here is going to show that. Painting sided. I painted the ceilings white because I wanted it to be bright. And so, yeah, this place is like, I don't know, it's definitely like a creative dream.
Right. And how, like, from where you started with, like, inventory, like, your dad kind of told me a little bit in terms of, like, how you started, and which we'll kind of get into that. But, like, what did you start with in terms of your furniture? And now you have, like, a million pieces of rental.
So the first things that I had is I had 4 modern farm tables that I built with hairpin legs. So I got custom legs welded. I had 4 farm tables. And then I had a bar that was a Michaela bar that is no longer here anymore. She's like somewhere else. But she was retired, but she was my bar that we built, and she had a custom diamond pattern on the front. So she was just very unique. And then I had 3 cocktail tables that are still here. They were called the 3 Amigo cocktail tables. And I think that's literally the whole inventory. Like, that's where I started. And then I went to my first show, sold. They were like, we have 130 guests. I'm like, great, we'll have that many tables. And we just kept building. So, yeah, from the get-go, it was always built. Stuff, mixed in with bought and sourced. But yeah, that's literally what it started with 11 years ago.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I had my garage, so there was that too.
11 years ago. So tell me, because it was funny, when I started out in the balloon industry, I started out kind of doing some of this stuff, and it was like the pallet walls.
Yep.
And then quickly I realized, I was like, I don't know, actually. The balloons ended up just taking off. I did one, and then somebody did it, and I just kind of like ran with that.
That's the biggest thing is I think that, like, I knew when starting Dang, like, I remember being like, I'm going to start this funky, unique brand in Arizona. And I remember telling my parents that I was in LA at the time. And I was like, I'm moving to Arizona. I'm starting this company. I was like, but the company name is like my most important endeavor.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, all the ones that I was seeing for rentals was like classic party rentals, prim rentals. There was just so many like vintage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not going to be vintage. I'm not going to be any of that. I don't like any of those words. Classic, prim, proper, any of that. I was like, no. So I knew it had to be funky. And so, yeah. Once my mom kind of hit the Dang one, and I was like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, it fits so well to being in Arizona, right? Like just the vibe of the colors and how it all kind of comes together. I feel like fits like Arizona.
Yeah.
So
I wanted it to be bright and colorful, but like I feel like no matter what, like the brand, it's easier to do your brand if the brand is you. So like this has been me my whole life. I've always worn like bright colors, very loud, very that. So I was like, this part was a little bit easy because I was like, I know exactly what I wanted to be, like very punchy. It just took a minute. So I was like, but yeah, it was like, that's literally, I mean, everyone knows the name. That's what I wanted.
How long did it take to like build out, like in general, like you have like these paint and wood shop, like in general, it's like it wasn't just moving in, like you kind of like decorated the space. How long did all this?
Well, we moved in during a summer, which is great in Arizona because we're slower. And so we took a lot of time. Like we moved in, I made sure every aisle was exactly how it was going to be. But I knew that when I first came in that the biggest thing is I needed my production floor to be like a main space. So I gave it the most space because we do mainly custom. So custom's everything to us. So we basically have a big production floor. Then we have the wood shop. Then we have a loading bay. We have 3 loading bays, but each loading bay has a different purpose. But there's a main loading bay in the back. And then we have rows of furniture. But like this is the most important floor because we are doing custom all day long.
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Yeah. That's so fun.
Yeah. It is
all right.
This is like what we call our junk drawer.
Okay, I like that.
It's basically supposed to be like the garden area with the faux floral, but it's also the place that after an event,
if it gets dumped.
Yeah. So every day we like, oh great, let's deal with that again. And then production floor, obviously custom everywhere. Painting, custom, and something going on at all times here. And then we've got the wood shop back here. And hi. These look good. We got machines, so we have CNC and lasers. So we build everything in-house. So pretty much everything gets built here. And then we have rows and rows, just like everyone has inventory. I have rows and rows and rows of inventory of custom.
What do you guys rent out the most? Like, what's the most popular? Is everything just all over the place?
Oh, God. I don't even know. My inventory system would tell me, but, like, I would say that the majority of what you see, like, turnover for days is, like, a classic 4x8 just painted. Yeah. Because I'm sure that there's, like, one in every order.
Yep.
But that's so hard. We have so much. I mean, we do have inventory items that, like, go more. But for the most part, the line item custom backdrop is, like, the highest.
Yeah.
But we have every structure and everything has like, we custom build for events, but we have an inventory. So like, I mean, I have the biggest inventory of customizable pieces in the nation. So like everyone that I compete with, let's say for Coachella, they're fabricators that have a warehouse that's tiny and they build in trash.
Yeah.
Break down in trash.
Yeah.
So
you're sustainable that way.
Right. That's the only thing I always say is like we paint, we reuse the same walls.
Yeah.
And so we've got like,
which honestly takes out so much of like we started getting into a lot of like fringe work or mylar and
we used to have fringe.
And it's just nice being able to like reuse and do that stuff instead of having to create everything from scratch.
So we have like odds and ends, and then each aisle, like you'll see, like it'll tell you sofas and rugs are in here, tables, consoles, and bars and shelves. So each aisle is just furniture organized. I would say like I started in furniture heavy. Now it just complements. So we do stuff, but it's just a compliment at this point. Like
yeah, because I don't know that in the beginning I knew that you did furniture, but then I started seeing some of your posts and seeing like, oh, you also have
we don't
furniture.
Post like the lounges. I mean, I sometimes think that we should just like, but like I'm never gonna compete with like we have a lot of big boxes that have been like popping up and like they see the market in Arizona as well. So all the big boxes are hurting because so many are popping up, spending a whole bunch of money on the competitive stuff.
Yeah.
But my thing about it is like, I'm never going to compete, but I will never own 6 of the same sofa.
Yeah.
Like it's just boring to me. So like I shop at Anthropologie and like really funky spots. I used to custom order from Bali a lot, but I just do such far less of the furniture and like the price point on a lounge versus a custom backdrop, just no competition.
Yeah.
So I focus everything into this. Yeah.
And these are all of the events and stuff like you guys kind of post.
The ticket wall. So they're bringing everything and taking everything off from the weekend, and then they're going to put every ticket up for the week.
Nice.
Yeah, they have an event. Like these are the events for today. These 2.
Okay.
So yeah, those are ticket wall. For the most part, we have like organized chaos.
Yeah. And is right now your busier time of the year?
The only time we're not busy is June and July. And like, that's not necessarily to say we're not busy. Like we probably in June and July will have 8 events each month.
Yeah.
Which we usually have 16 a week. So yeah.
Dang.
Anywhere from 8 to 16 a week.
And it's mostly all here in Arizona?
Mostly here, but like we travel.
Yeah.
At least once a month we're somewhere. So in April we go 4 different places. So like we travel.
Yeah.
Well,
because I've seen, was it Palm Springs or California?
Just in Palm Springs,
yeah.
just in San Diego. But we go to Austin, Vegas, and Coachella in April.
That'll be fun. All right.
It'll be fun. The problem is a lot of corporate clients, I'm sure is like they're last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So they're talking to you about it for months, but like
So
they're
it's
really
not just in Washington.
well, you're just like sitting here like, okay. And I mean, we have a big inventory, but like I basically have told everyone, I was like, yeah, so your Coachella comes off of a very crazy corporate event we have. So the corporate event that we have is a huge build out. It's like stages, all this stuff, but it's all these brand booths.
Mm-hmm.
So I was explaining to them, you better start locking in because I'm pitching Coachella and I'm going to be pitching them the stuff that's on your orders because you haven't locked. So we have put a lot of pressure on everyone because I'm just like, you have to make a commitment so that I know what I'm holding. But it's not, it's everywhere. And like Coachella,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, we're working with like big brands.
Yeah.
And they are 30 days out of Coachella and they're like, well, we're waiting to see what our color palette will be. I'm like, great. So we scramble 2 weeks out of Coachella. We like scramble. We like are full time I feel like we're overtimed. Like we're just like everyone's here trying to make sure that all the pieces get done. So right now, the second something confirms, it's on the boards because I'm like, just start getting ahead.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's a rat race.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that I feel like is a huge topic, at least at home with other vendors that I'm with, is like, do you start charging fees, right? If you book within a certain period of time, right? You do? Yeah, because it starts training, especially for me. Like I always feel like balloons specifically, like people tend to look at balloons a specific way, right? It's very last minute. I do feel like I've been blessed because most of the time I'm booked 2 months out. Like we have events already booked we're booked for Christmas. We have events in August. So,
And we have our things that are booked out. Like we have a whole bunch of stuff on the schedule. It's more just like things like, Coachella's going to be big.
yeah.
So like that is like, I'm like, really? Like, but we have a lot of corporate clients that are like repeat like DMC stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
booked out. Like they have their client like on a well-oiled rig, but it's like the big brand.
Yeah. That are just
Like we're
waiting.
doing something with CoverGirl in like 2 weeks. And like I remember she was just talking and she's like, yeah, so they're not sure their date. It's in 2 weeks. What do you mean they don't know their So it's just like
Mm-hmm. It's across the board. I think that's what makes this job like so exciting, but also so tiring at the same time. It's like you want to figure out some level of like consistency or like kind of what's coming, but then like there's excitement about like the hustle.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always liked like I'm not good at being bored, so like I do like chaos over calm.
Mhm.
But now that I have kids like this, I'm like I have a big team, so there's 5 designers, so there's 5 sales girls, so like I take very minimal amount of stuff now. I used to want to take more, and every time I go and take something that's out of my main clients, like I get annoyed with myself. Like, why'd you just do that?
Yeah.
The reality is like I'll have some tax debacle or have to go sit down with our CPA or do something, and I'm like, no, unfortunately, my job is like that now. But like these girls, I mean, they're problem solving 24/7.
Yeah.
Like all of them. I mean, they produced so many events last week, and I mean, I don't go to any, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But and then like I have an ops manager and I have a warehouse manager and everything. So for the most part, all crisis can go without calling me.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It wasn't always like that.
Well, and that's like, so I guess that would be one of my questions. So like when did you know that you were like, okay, I need to start hiring more people, or did it just kind of happen organically?
No, very much, when I started dating, I was expensive from day one because I knew that I was going to hire and that this was going to grow. So like this
Mhm.
never started as a hobby.
Yes.
Like I was from Los Angeles and I came here for 2 events in 2014 because I was doing planning and there was nothing here.
Mhm.
There was nothing here. It was like top 20 destination weddings and corporate and all this stuff. But the people that were here doing it was literally classic party rents and tents. And then there was another company that had vintage furniture and then wine barrels as cocktail tables. And I said, this is crazy. I'm from Los Angeles. Like you can have anything you want. Like this is wild. And I searched high and low, could not find any other vendors in town. And then I was like, I have an idea. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to take LA to the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to be a big fish in a small pond very fast. And I had an idea and I just went with it. But I knew I knew the pricing. I priced LA from the get-go. So like immediately everyone was like, what's going on? And I was like, these are the prices you could be making.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been able to scale because I already knew.
Yeah,
what
you
my
were
price-
pricing as if you were going to have employees at some
Mhm.
point. I think that's the hardest thing when people first start out
Mhm.
is they devalue their time,
Mhm.
and then they also don't price to have employees.
No. And then the thing is, I didn't have kids in the beginning, which was very helpful. So, like, I could work till 9 o'clock at night and I could hustle. And of course, I went to events and I did a whole bunch of stuff and I was at strikes and I did all those things. But very, very quickly, I was hiring and very quickly, I wasn't going to strikes.
Mhm.
And then, and my first employee came in 2 or 3 years later. So my first like employee that was like fully my employee W-2 was in 2018. She's still here. She's been with
Oh,
me
wow.
7.5
Dang.
years.
Yeah.
Almost 8. She goes on 8 years, I think, in the next couple weeks. So she started with me. She was my first employee. And now she's like my lead sales girl. She's like my lead designer. And she has been here forever. And then a lot of the guys too, like I've had, I mean, most of my labor team, like there's a good chunk of them who've been here like 6 years. So I feel like I'm kind of, I mean,
That's
no one quits. Literally no one quits.
well, okay, so it's funny because that was like one of my questions in here was like, what has been the hardest part of like finding? Because I feel like sometimes in the event industry, it is hard to find people who are wanting to like help and do that or like longevity, especially when you talk about like a lot of labor intensive.
I, first and foremost, it is not necessarily easy,
Mhm.
but I notice that I get that question a lot.
Mhm.
Honestly, the reason I started my course is because all I do is get DMs about
Mhm.
questions. And the thing is like, I've also heard, I go to conferences with other people across the nation with these businesses, and I am at one of the conferences, we're in a tier system based off of earnings, right? So, like, I know girls who we make a similar amount of money a year. And when I hear the way people pay people, I'm
Mhm.
like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
So like my thing is your business is doing well and you're not paying the people that work for you well, they're not going to stay.
Yeah.
Um my team makes great money,
Mhm.
like livable money.
Mhm.
And, for anything for my sales, my labor team makes great. Everyone chooses hourly, but then my sales girls are hourly plus commission, so they make commission on the net profit of their sales.
Okay.
And then the boys have bonus tier structures, payouts, tips, everything like that. So they make great hourly rates, but then I also have a bonus structure. So you have a grading system for the labor, and then like there's a bonus that you could be getting every quarter, but like if you perform well and you're a good teammate, then you get 100%. And if you decide to screw up your job, then you get graded weekly, and then you get like, let's just say 60%. And so you get a 6 out of 10, you're taking home 60% of the bonus. So
Okay.
there are a lot of initiatives for like doing well here.
Yeah.
I mean, we do lunch together. We do a lot of stuff. Like once, like I don't do it every day, but like we have like special days and we all go out. We have travel trips. I mean, literally the travel trips, I never have to like, everyone signs up. They fight for those trips.
Really?
We always have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the most part though, like
Do you guys like box up like a truck and you guys drive there?
we only drive if it's 6 hours or less.
Okay.
If not, I freight.
Okay.
I hire a third party.
Okay.
I won't put the miles on the cars, and
Yeah.
so we just all fly in or whatnot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. It's gotten a little bit more challenging with kids just to like coordinate so much, but I do go to most of the travel gigs, but there's a few like I didn't go to Palm Springs and I'm not going to LA. Like we have an LA trip next week. So I set some of them out.
So to me, I almost feel like it doesn't sound hard, but was it hard to let go of like creative control?
Mhm.
Yeah, I was getting that sense. And so your sales girls are also the girls that are kind of doing the designs
Mhm.
as well. And so they're the ones communicating with clients, sending it out, and then
I filter all leads and I give them out. So no, I don't have to be like I ultimately have shaped this place to what it is and like how you're supposed to operate, how you're supposed to design, how you're supposed to like create a deck, how you pitch your videos, how you do everything. They know like that, but each girl has their own twist. And I've had a sales girl that didn't work out, who did end up quitting, but like my thing is like it's very quick. At this point I do personality tests, so like nobody really enters the door without I knowing that
yeah.
they're
Which one do you like doing?
whatever that one is, the culture index.
Oh, okay. I don't think
Yeah.
I've taken that one before.
Yeah, so like that's like definitely,
Mm.
but I would say that the people that have been around forever, I mean, everyone has their own styles, but like my thing is like I've got a lot of friends who don't do a commission structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what is their initiative to sell?
Yeah.
So I like sat down, one of my girlfriends, she has a pretty great business and she does mainly rentals. Everyone's dabbling into the custom now because they see, but like I'm like, oh, they only make an hourly rate. I'm like, okay, well, like, like let's just say the wedding comes in with this is like what we want. Why is it that they would try to put more on the ticket or just give them the invoice as this?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see. So like when a lead comes in with exactly what they want, it's not commission based. But if you upsell it and if you add more to the list, then it immediately becomes commission on the whole order. Like if
Okay.
you swap it from just a sale to an upsell,
Yeah.
then I get commission on the whole order. We don't have like a lot of orders like that anymore. Most of the time it's like, hey, we're having an event and this is the theme. Can you pitch us from the ground up?
Yeah.
But before we used to we get orders, we'll be like, we want these 3 lounges. You're like, okay. But I'm like, if you sell something else, then it's commission.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because like when I've hired employees and had them starting doing the creative or just communicating with the clients, I don't know that I realized until I started hiring employees how much that job was not really administrative, how much of it was some form of like upsell. Or once you've done it long enough, you kind of know your clients and you're like, oh, like, gosh, like when you're really into something, right? You're like, oh, this would be super cool for that. Might not be something the client asked for, but like you're adding your expertise to it. And then they're like, do it.
Yeah.
And so you don't really realize, and it wasn't until I started hiring employees and seeing that it was like, okay, this job is not just emailing clients and taking their order. It's getting into like the design and actually telling them like, hey, because I feel like a lot of people too, right? When I think what separates some brands from other brands is when they offer their expertise, right? Like somebody is coming to you because you know what you're doing and they're looking for you to make their job easier.
100%.
Quick timeout. If you've been nodding along during this episode, then you are the type of person that we love having in our community. The best way to stay connected is by joining our email list. It's where we get to share a little bit more of behind the scenes magic, stories that I don't always get to share on the podcast, early access to special announcements, and ways to be part of the conversation with other listeners who care about the same things as you do. We'd love for you to be a part of it, so just head to thejamietaylor.com/email and drop your email in. No spam, just real connections and good stuff. And so, yeah.
I don't micromanage any of these goals. Like no one gets a micromanage from me. Like hardly I micromanage the boys. Like everyone's got enough rope.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like for everyone knows there's boundaries though. People get written up. I have a very this has definitely grown to be a very strict business. Like, there's write-ups, there's consequences, truthfully, like people don't mess up many times. Like they won't cross the line many times here, just especially like let's just say labor or whatever, like you just get taken off the schedule and there's so many people that want this shift or want your job. And so, I had gotten rid of a few guys in the last quarter just because like I was like, oh, I think you're just missing that this is also a privilege to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it very fast replaced and for the most part, like we run like a pretty organized ship at this point. And the thing with the girls is like, they're really creative. And we have in the last 8 months, we got 2 new sales girls. And so they are just I just give them events. Like the other day I gave them $10,000 budget events. I'm like, here you go. It's like probably their first time with that budget. And I was like, you can do it. They follow the system immediately. Like they're like, what do you think about this design deck? I'm like, I love it. But I don't, sometimes I will see like decks out there. I have no idea what's going out.
Yeah.
I don't micromanage any of it.
That's so nice.
Mm.
Nice. So as far as like, right, obviously if you have employees, you have to have like systems and to be able to scale, right? Like communication. So what like systems do you use in terms of like communication or design so that everybody is like on the same page and everything's flowing across? Like you said, you had 11 full-time employees and then 18 like 1099s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So for the most part, like each system in here has a process, but like for the sales girls, like we all share like a pricing deck. So like all of us know every backdrop we have, we have measurements of every single item. Like the logo fits here like this. It's an arch. This is the turn. So we have like shared files for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they know the system, like you pull it, you put it, and the second you sell it, then it goes on the production floor. So like we have production slides and then we have build slides in fabrication. So each time something gets sold, you put it in the sequence of the timeline of like when this needs to be completed. So then the production team can start scaling down their paper, like, okay, in 3 weeks we have this. Oh, that's going to go out like this. Oh, I see it's already painted this color to be easy to flip. So like they get an idea. But everything goes on there. So I can watch it anytime, like what's been like finished, like what's happening. I know what's being painted every day just by going on the slides because they're taking it and then they're checking off in the slides. And so then once they're completed, they're deleting, like they're done with the slide, but we can watch live, like everything that's happening in each team.
Okay.
And then the labor team is managed by one of our managers, and he just like, I mean, I hardly babysit that team.
Yeah.
Couldn't even tell you who's here most days because my ops manager schedules her.
Do you use like a CRM like for all the clients, or is everything through like the slides to like manage the clients, like who they are, where the event is, like
Everything's in RW. So we use RW.
Okay.
Our system. I'm sure there's like Tech Goods. I don't know which one do you use?
I actually I use ClickUp actually.
I don't
Yeah.
know one. But yeah, like we have our process is RW Elephant. It's just a processor. So it gives us all the information, all the stuff, our sales, all of our inventories in there. So I've used them for a lot of years. There's a lot of offers and other companies that come in here, deliver me donuts,
Yeah.
throw me gifts like crazy to switch over. I just don't. I think every software system has its errors, flaws, and things that they can be better at. And like this one might have something, but I know the owner of RW at this point, like, and I just emailed them, I want this.
Yeah.
Get some implemented. So like for the most part, there's a good chunk of a couple of us, I think, that I mean, they're a really receptive brand and like they are small enough to still not be huge and like not listen. Like
Yeah.
they know what we all want. And they also put on conferences. So we all get together.
Oh, fun. Okay. Yeah. So because mine, like I use ClickUp, which essentially is just project management. It's like Asana,
Okay.
right? Because my goal was
But
to
what's your sales? Like, how do you make an invoice and stuff?
Shopify.
Okay.
So, and most
You
of ours,
don't have rentable inventory. You're doing like lids and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to have the software system that knows every single crystal chandelier. Like,
Yeah.
And when 3 of them are out, they're not available. So like we have a system that does that.
Yeah. That's more for interesting.
But it doesn't have It's on email platform. We email over in Gmail. We G Suite everything, and then we as a team all use Google.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because my goal was always like, one of my dreams was like, people come in and they all know what they're doing and I don't have to actually like verbally communicate it. And that was when I ended up finding like ClickUp. I've used different ones, but it's nice because you just assign the task to them and assign a due date. So everybody kind of knows exactly like what they need to do, or you can like set it as a priority.
Right.
So that was kind of a little bit more figuring out how to assign that without feeling like everyone had to come to me and like wait for me to like give them their list and a priority. So, okay, so let's rewind. You kind of said how dang fine you came from LA to here, but then how did you really end up really scaling? Because like we talked earlier, like you started doing like maybe smaller events, right?
Yeah.
But then you do Powerhouse Women's event.
Yeah. So from the get-go though, like, I mean, we started small, but I doubled my income every year for years. So like I went very hard and heavy making sure everyone knew me. I hit the ground running for that kind of stuff. And then slowly but surely it became where people weren't using us because they were like, didn't like the change. And then immediately everyone was using us. And so we scaled. I mean, like I just grew and I always sank the money back into the business for the first like probably 3 years. I worked a job on the side. I was like managed a bakery and stuff while growing dang fine because it was like, well, literally every dollar went back to the business. And then in 2017 at the end, I booked a huge event with Jeep Wrangler. And I did a launch of like their new Wrangler. And it was just this crazy opportunity event where like they came to town and were like, you're clearly the only person in town who can do this. And I was like, I'm absolutely the only person in town who could do this. And they were like, well, we want a whole bunch of stuff you don't have. And I was like, I'm willing to bring it in. And so I figured it out. And at the time, I would say like my average order was like 1,500, $3,000 or whatever. But then this order was $94,000. And it was a 14-day corporate event. But like we had to style it and literally just send teams out to just like make sure it was dusted and stuff every day because like it was essentially like for car editors and stuff. Like, so when the car launches, like a lot of people who write stories about the cars, they come out. So it was just this crazy event.
Fun.
I remember being like, I'm totally doing this. And they were talking to me. The event was loaded on December 3rd. And They were talking to me October and November, and they signed on the day before Thanksgiving. And I had to buy $22,000 worth of furniture on Black Friday, get it hand assembled in a week, and then show up at this event.
And how many people did you have at this time? Was
No,
it just
me? I had a business partner in the beginning, and that I bought out in 2018. So this was his last event, and the whole time he kept just being like, "I don't want you to be disappointed if we don't get this event. I don't want you to be disappointed." I was like, "Why are you talking like that?
Yeah.
I'm getting this event."
Yeah.
So immediately I knew you got to go.
Yeah.
This isn't for you. I'm like, this was a side hobby to him. This was everything to me. And so I have a lot to say about partnerships, and I don't believe in partnerships often.
That's literally how I started out too.
I don't believe in partnerships. I don't think it works. I think someone wants it more. Someone will work harder. Someone will hustle. Someone will grind. And that's fine. But it's really identifying when that break is and taking it, and also have the paper structure to know. So when we started, we had paper structure. This is how we go. This is how we break up. This is how we do it. And you have to have that from the get-go.
Yeah.
I usually just say don't have a partner. But then anyways, I went to this, we got it. I did it. I made it happen. I hired tons of ASU students to assemble hundreds of chairs, and we figured it out and made it happen. It was amazing. But during that time, I knew immediately a pivot. I mean, I custom built walls, I did all this stuff, and I was like, this is exactly the direction I'm going. I'm not going after weddings. And
Yeah.
or of course, weddings were easy and people wanted our farm tables and stuff, but I was like, that is not necessarily I came from weddings, but I was I knew corporate was exactly what I wanted, especially for custom. And so then at that point, I just kind of ran for it. And then in 2017, after that event, I took this full time, and I've never not done anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then we just kept running. 2018 was insane. 2019, we were traveling a ton with brands. Obviously COVID hits, and no one knows if their job was safe.
Yeah.
But I always tell everyone my biggest thing is I never really spent the money. A lot of the times at the end of the year, I hear a lot of people say what do you do with your money so that you don't have to pay taxes? And I'm like, well, if you don't have a profit, you can't buy buildings. If you don't have a profit, the bank doesn't loan you for cars. If you don't have a profit, if you hide the profit, and listen, do I now to be strategic with my profit? Of course I do, because I don't need any of those things anymore.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I knew I wanted all those things. And so I'm like, well, you can't really just go spending all this money at the end of the year and not having a profit, because then you cannot grow.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when COVID hit, I had so much cash that I just sat. I was like, keep the warehouse, keep the employees, and we just sat.
Yeah.
And we were fine. Because I had never tried to sink money into stuff or get rid of it. And so, yeah, that was an interesting time. But Arizona went back fast.
Yeah, I do. I was going to say you weren't hit quite as hard as because everything stopped. And I felt for a couple of years for us, where it probably took until, because I was just thinking because right before COVID for us, we really started turning more towards corporate events too. And we did Stella Rosa wines, and they wanted us to start traveling to do installs. It was so fun. And all of a sudden, everything came to a screeching halt. And so it took literally probably 2 years. I almost remember the year. It was 2023. That was that holiday period was the first time all these holiday parties finally started coming back.
Yeah, it was not like that.
And that's when I feel my business really started to come back, because I wasn't doing as many home parties.
Right.
And so I was struggling to really figure out how, but it was now that the corporate events are back, the business kind of seems to be going, at least in the Seattle, Washington area. So
ours didn't we didn't roll out that long. We were back and running, I'd say decent by August. And then it picked up fast. I mean, we're in a different state,
Yeah, I remember coming down here during COVID. So I was I need to go somewhere where it feels
normal. Yeah, we picked back up pretty fast. I mean, I didn't make any of my employees do anything special. We picked back fast, but COVID was unique for everyone. I mean, the week prior to shutdown, I remember receiving emails, and $450,000 of our business had canceled in a week of emails. And I was like, cool. This is not good.
Yeah.
But all that passed. I mean, for the most part, I never turned that around. I had my lease was up on my warehouse, March of 2020. And the landlord was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'm not folding. So I'll sign for another 3 years as if you give me a good deal. And he obviously gave me the best deal because he didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He was about to win.
Yeah.
And so anyways, it was just interesting. But then when COVID lifted and the 3 years later happened, they were raising my rent by 50%.
Oh, wow.
Because it was so much more profitable here.
Yeah. And just recouping from all of
It's
that.
nuts. So
Yeah.
anyways, but then I remember rent got raised and I was like, yeah, I'm buying a building. I will be out of here in 6 months. I'm going to have to get out of here. So yeah, we did that.
What do you feel like has been like in terms of your growth? And obviously, like we talked earlier about like your branding and like turning your business name into your slogan and your marketing is so well. But what do you feel like has been like the thing that has really helped get your name out there? Or has it just been?
I just feel like my brand name is the best one in the nation. I really do. I always see everyone else and I'm like, cool, but like I just think that I hit the nail on the head with the name. And I think I did. In the beginning, I was just like, everything will be dang fine. Everything's dang fine. I mean, my kids refer to everything in the world as dang fine. So like it's catchy, toddler, you know what I mean? And for the most part, the branding from day one, I mean, in my course, there's an evolution of our logos and they look like exactly very similar.
Really?
I mean, like design number 1 and 2. Then I had someone design my last one, but it is a complete evolution that makes complete sense. And everything about the brand, how there was illustrations. My first marketing package has illustrations. Like every single thing about this business, like I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like from day one, and it's never changed because like it's authentically exactly what the brand was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Which is hard, but I did I did a brand guide breakdown before I built the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely revamped it into my course because I was like, hey, like if you don't identify what this is supposed to feel like, look like, make people have emotions about from the beginning, you don't even know.
Yeah.
So like you can't back something you didn't discover. And like I do find a lot that, I know people in every planners, blues, everything, and the logo changes constantly. The branding changes constantly, and we're floundering. Like we have no idea who we are.
Yeah.
I will even see people like literally be a vintage brand who have been vintage forever, and then all of a sudden they're colorful, wild, and fun. Great. It's just so weird because the word vintage was locked in the beginning. So you're like, okay. But then like, I just like, and then I do have someone that like, they're like, we just changed. I'm like, this is your 5th brand change in 3 years.
Yeah.
It's just very like, you lose trust. I don't know who it is. And I also just think I'm always working with a new brand. So like, my thing is like, I'm not saying you cannot rebrand, but like, if you're going to rebrand, like hire the best of the best and hit it on the nail and not just like kind of decide you want to look like someone else. That's the thing that gets me is like, I was fearful of putting this brand breakdown in my course because I was like, I don't want people to look at my brand and be like, I want to be dang fine. If you're not authentically colorful, wild, and funky, like, but you are classic and clean lines or whatever, you still have to be your brand because you can't be anyone else.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to be like, what about this brand sets me apart from all the other brands?
Yeah.
And
your brand was you, which is what made it easier to bring it to life, right? So it's like you're not trying to be. I think the other thing too is like people start out, like I always knew when I started my balloon business, I never wanted to have where I did balloons in my business name.
Yes.
Because it
That's a mistake.
felt like it limited you on what your reach is going to be. And it's funny because now like people just say confetti because I also have like a gift box side of my business, which launched like during COVID because balloons were done. So it was like, we got to shift and like pivot and figure this out. And so we started doing like virtual party boxes. And then now it's turned into gift boxes that we ship across the US, mostly corporate. So it's funny, like they've both kind of, because we do corporate on like the balloon side and that, they both kind of go hand in hand. But it's funny because now people will just say confetti. I've been thinking about just dropping off like confetti balloons or confetti gifts and just confetti. They're both branded very different because gift boxes between gift boxes and balloons, they're marketed very differently. Right. And I also didn't want people thinking we were like hand delivering like gift boxes to their like these are shipped out. We don't bring them to you. But so tell me more. That was one of the reasons I really wanted to sit down with you and thought this was perfect. So I've done balloons for now 9 years. And so I think there's always that like level of like, okay, what's next? I feel like you're kind of that type of person too. It's kind of like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what's next? How are we growing? How are we moving? And so that was kind of why I decided to launch a pop-up to Powerhouse because I also feel like.
Have you been to Powerhouse?
Yes.
Okay. I think you mentioned it. You might not.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to that one. And then Create and Cultivate's another one of my super favorite. That was like right before COVID. I had just launched my business and went to that. And so, but yeah, Powerhouse was super fun.
Which year did you go?
not last year, the year before. You did the high heel wall.
Mm. That wall's still one of our favorites.
Yeah.
We love that wall.
It's so much fun.
It is hard to come up with the photo up every year because I'm like, ooh, I loved last year. But then this year we did the gas station. It was sick.
Yeah.
And
that's going to be the hard part too.
This is a decade. So like I'm really trying to come up with what I'm doing this year, but I'm not sure yet.
I feel like that's like the fun thing too, is like when you start working with clients and you work with a lot of repeat clients, like, and you use them it's like every year you're trying to like beat yourself. Actually, I always say like, it's almost like Beyonce, like she's trying to like beat herself with each album every year. And it's like you do that every single time and try to figure out how to either like make it different or unique. Yep. It's a fun challenge. But do they come up with themes for the event, or do they kind of come to you?
I do it all. So I have creative freedom with that one. So I can do whatever I want every year. I come up with it all. So I know her brand. I know when she changes little things, but I have had creative freedom of that one for 10 years. So every single year I just come up with a design. And for years, about 8 of the years, Lindsay never saw the designs, probably 7 years. And then at one point she was like, I know it's so random, like, and I really don't want to micromanage you, but I want to see it. I want to get excited about it. So she's like, I know you've never shown me. It was like a big reveal. She'd come in and then I'd show her. And
fun.
Like, have a moment. But I was like, yeah, totally. Like, if you want to see it. But like, she never changes anything. She's like, oh my God, love it. Yep, I knew I was going to love it. Like, I am so obsessed. But she gets excited.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever get every year is her outfit. So she gives me the outfit and then I design based off of what's the outfit.
Fun. Yeah. I know, it's kind of fun to see like what she's wearing, what she's like kind of made that into like a thing.
And I know her style is one of our girlfriends, and she'll be like, I'm leaning towards this or whatever. So I do have fun with that because I kind of get an idea of what she's wearing. And then I'm like, okay, this is totally gonna work. So that's kind of fun because she gets to express herself in like a really fun outfit. Yeah. And then we kind of play with the rest. But yeah, repeat clients that's mainly what I work with. I work with my same clients on a repeat basis. And like very few times I pick up another one because I have a team and I want to push them, right? I want these girls to sell. They make me money. I win. Yeah. I make commission. They're excited. Like these girls make insanely great salaries.
Yeah.
Real quick, if you're a balloon artist who is tired of competing on price and is ready to step into higher end work, I created Luxury Balloon Academy just for you. This is the exact process that I use to go from small jobs to attracting premium clients and large-scale designs. So if you're ready to elevate your brand and your pricing, check the link in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly super impressive, like what you've been able to build for an event rental business and kind of like how it started to how it is now. That's why I was like, when I first was thinking, I was like, when I was launching this, it was like, I don't want this to all be about me. I don't feel like I know everything. I've been in the industry for a long time, but it's like you can learn from so many other people. But it was like, who do I want my first guest to be? And it literally was you. So honestly, this was a huge win because I was like, I mean, it's a perfect.
You start to DM me because I don't see the ding. Like I've like so many of us are in it, right? So there's so many of us that are on that like portal and social agencies and stuff. And so then, but when you messaged me, I just randomly saw it and I was like, yeah, I'll make one day work. Like, and it's funny because like you were asking obviously for an interview, which I was like, oh, I could totally do that.
Yeah.
And I have been getting a couple of podcasts recently that I was like, oh, okay, like I haven't like dabbled in a while. I feel like all I do is like here at home. But yeah,
I feel like that's so much of business, at least I've learned, is some of what I've gotten has just been like DMing people. You're always like afraid to DM or message somebody, but it's like you're just another business owner.
Yeah.
Like, but there's this weird block when you see people on social media. There's like a weird messaging them. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to message her directly because I wasn't sure like whether or not you manage your ding fine anymore.
No, I go on there, but
yeah.
I'll miss things constantly. But did you see this DM? It said to Matiana. I was like, you should message them back saying you better message her first. She doesn't see it.
So tell me about the course that you're launching. So I was super interested to like learn more about that.
So it's live. So I launched a course and it's just the idea is like how to make a ding fine, like literally how you create your processes, how you figure out how you are, what is the things that are your sauce? I show everyone all of my sauce. I'm like, hey, this is how we build our walls. This is my consistent click system. These are how I weld X, Y, and Z to stand my walls very consistently. Because I've invented like a stand that we call the base stand that I created this in 2017. And every single company in town, I will watch them go behind my walls to look at it, take pictures, and then all of a sudden I see them with a similar light stand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I know. I came up with a really sick way to stand walls.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I give build plans away, but it's a walks people through how to like create the brand. Now, either you're starting a business or you have one and you need to pivot. We're doing a pivot. We're just reshaping from the bottom to make sure that like going forward, right? If we're going to rebrand, we're going to do it right. And so it takes you through like a pretty heavy, like how to brand. And then it has like this really cute workbook that I had. Like you get a huge gift box when you buy it.
Yeah.
Comes with the mail. Cause I was like, I'm a very like experienced person. So like if someone's going to invest in a course, I want you to get this box and all this stuff. So there's like whole bunch of different things, how I move money, how I invest in things, how I'm buying. And then also there's like fabrication videos. It's 9 modules and it takes you through pretty much the process, how I pitch to clients, like start to finish. Like I show people a pitch, just because I have processes. Like I'm not just doing slides. Like I have a whole process. Like we pitch virtually, we pitch with our voice. We like, cause your client is not creative.
Yeah.
And so you have to remember that. And so like I go through everything. I think I told the story of dating fine, 3 parts of like exactly what story parts and like the things that I'd be like, try to avoid this, or if you're going to do this, make sure you have this. So I pretty much broke it down because like consistently for the last years, I've always gotten messages and questions. And I did take a couple of companies under my wing and I did like private one-on-one coaching for 3 different brands that are still around and doing quite well actually in like 2019 to 2021. Like it was just like a random time that I said yes. And then I was like, this isn't my bandwidth to do this. So I chose to create the course. It's kind of been on my mind. So I filmed it, did it, launched it. And there's 3 tiers. There's like a base tier where it's just like the course.
Yeah.
And then you get the workbook and everything. Then the second tier, you join a Facebook group that's everyone who bought that or above. And so it's the community. I mean, my biggest thing is like, if I have a crisis, if I have an issue, I have a specific amount of companies that are my friends that I'm messaging.
Yeah.
We're in a community. You know, we've known each other for years. I know they know my problems because they're at the same level as me.
Yeah.
And like with these businesses, there's no like, you know, events for dummies. Like we don't have that. So I pretty much like think that the communication, and then there's one-on-one coaching. So like if someone buys into that tier, like they have 2 calls with me. So we set up an initial call and then a secondary call. But the whole idea is like communicating with your peers is like everything.
Yeah.
And also peers who are trying to like upscale, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you're, and then,
Well, and I feel like that's got to be a lot of it, right? Like a lot of people are kind of like, okay, well, how did you get to that and how did you do that? But then obviously just like learning, you're on that path too. So it's like having other people, like how do you share in like the struggles and figuring that out so you don't have to do it on your own.
Communication's everything. If I didn't have the girls that I communicate with, and I'm like DC to, I mean, we've got girls, I'm like trying to think of where everyone is, but like we're all over the nation. And so I did, but yeah, the 3rd course is to make a date fine in person. So I do have people coming to, and obviously one of your friends is coming. So like, the thing is I was inviting, I'm like, if you want to invest in this level, because everyone asks, can I come? Can I shadow you? And I'm just like, well, it's going to cost. Like, if you want to see how we do and be on our team, like, and so I made that the top part of the tier. And so so I'm going to have people on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how many people have signed up?
In total of the whole course?
Yeah. Because it was a few different.
How much money I made, that's pretty much it so far. And I'm already halfway through my year goal in 2 months. So I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I want to say I have like 16 in tier 1, 4 in tier 2, and 2 in the top.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I really love about your course, because it's right, online courses and like learning from other people is huge right now.
Yeah.
But I think what makes yours unique is the fact that you do have like an in-person part of it. And I think that that is actually something that's missing in courses is yes, you can learn from like
of course
a screen.
I think that the people that are just got the course, like it's going to be great. I think when you can communicate with other people, that's the best. Obviously in person's expensive, but like if you're at that point in your business where you're like, I need to get in it and I need to see like, what are the choices that they made? How are they packing these toolkits? Well, how does the team know how are they led, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I picked 2 of my best events. Like my favorite events to see, like there are 2 I do, but like we have like one in the end of March and then one in August. And those 2 are like my favorite shows of the year. And like we have so much creative control on both of them. And there's so much going on. I mean, you're going to be a part of like literally the chaos of the day, but like it's managed and thought out very well. And it's like, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even, you know, when we do an event, some of these events are a main stage, a photo op, a welcome entrance, a this, and then we've got 15 to 20 vendor booths. So like, how do you pack a truck like that?
Yeah.
It's the chaos on site. So like, we have a very serious system of how we label, how we tag when we get there. And like, boys are not asking us, where does this go?
Yeah.
They know how to follow the directions. Like, we've created systems because like, you know, the less chaos, the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
So that would be something to like going in person. I'm sure you'd get some of that like in your course, but like going in, it's just like experiencing it in person versus online. Like you see like the depth of what happens.
You can literally, they come to the warehouse the day before and then they go on site for the setup day. So the warehouse day, like you can hit every employee. You can talk to the manager, the ops manager. You can talk to the warehouse manager. You can talk to the sales girls. You can ask them a whole bunch of questions. Like, and they already know, like, I mean, we are like pretty much open book. The only reason I'm not DMing people all the answers is because I created this course for a reason. I don't have the bandwidth to do that. And it's not just like this easy answer, like, oh, where do you source that and how do you do this? It's really not that simple anymore. It's like got so much behind it. If you don't have this, and this set up, then this doesn't matter if you know it or not, you know?
Yeah.
So, and the reality is like, you know, I know a lot of people, because also the other thing about Ding is like we go across the nation for events, but sometimes I don't physically go. I design an entire event and I subcontract someone in town and I take them for my client. I have a couple people across the nation. Like we have a sign up that was like basically our creative list. And so like if my client's telling me that I'm going to Florida, like I may not go to Florida. I'm going to use my local vendor and then I'm going to fly in to manage the whole thing. But we have worked so long over time to like vet who is capable, but then I also see the cap of capability pretty fast. Like for me, like, I mean, we have like an unlimited capability. You know, I'm doing an event that has 6-pack trucks and we get there, we have a team. And the other part of this business thing is if you want to scale, you have to have a team, because if I have to take on X, do I have the labor for it?
Yeah.
It's never a question. It's always there. I always have it. But that comes with high cost because I have to have people's salaries in mind, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. Which is also why you end up going like, again, like more corporate, right? Because they can afford to kind of have those budgets in order to be able to do that.
I mean, we go corporate mainly. And I mean, all of our clients that take us across the nation, yeah, maybe they heard about us and they're deciding to take us for the first time. But every single, I'd say majority of everyone has had a dang fine experience in Arizona being like, yeah, so we can't get this anywhere in the nation. We've worked with brands everywhere. And a lot of them are vendors out of their homes.
Yeah.
Which, you know, hey, if it's a side hustle, it's great. But like the client in the end does, like when you're Capital One.
Yeah.
You want a vendor who's making sure that is exactly how it is. And like, we always show up the right way with the right bodies with, you know, and everything's super correct.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, if someone works with us in Arizona, they're taking us all over the nation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. That is fun. Yeah. I know I did an install in Florida and, Balloon Bar Tampa Bay. Is that one of the, so her and I, like amongst talking, and she had mentioned that she does some stuff with you. So it's just kind of fun to see, like, as big as the event industry is, how small sometimes it really actually ends up feeling. And you kind of like know who the people who inspire you, right?
Yeah.
And the people who are doing like big, large scale things, you kind of like hone in on who they are and what they do. And it's fun to kind of watch. And it is fun. Like when I got here and I like saw your dad came out, which I didn't know at first it was him, and he introduced himself and he like shook my hand. I like shook it. And then he was like talking to me. And then I was like, are you Matiana's dad? I was like, I think I've seen you on her social media, but it was kind of funny.
And it's funny because he hasn't been here in I'd say for a period of time, because like we have a full-time builders and stuff, but lately I've been like, we're really busy and my dad loves to be here. He loves to be here. And then he loves to be like, I'm going to pick up your girls. He's just like that dad. Always has been. And so anyways, lately I've been like, hey, when are you going to come to the office? We have a lot going on. And so he's like, yeah, I'll be there. So he's been building out a whole bunch of stuff and doing some fix-it projects for me. But one thing you did say at some point was something about like, you think, and I don't know exactly the wording you used, but you said something about constantly wanting to grow and expand and whatnot. I will say that I've always been like that. What's more? What's next? How much more can I make? How much more can I get? However, last year I took a year where it was enjoy. And like, I do think that's important, because for so many years, you're constantly just being like, what else can I do? How much more? And my whole point is I've spent all this time hiring all this stuff. I have all the systems in place. Like I truly disappear for days on end, or like my kids have, spring break this week and I will not come half the week because I'm going to go enjoy being a mom. But last year, the year prior, I bought a building. I thought buying a building would be like, okay, like we spent so much money. We scaled so much more. We made so much more money. And which was to be expected in getting this under one roof and just like having a really great system.
Yeah.
However, last year, when I do a vision board every year, I
Mm-hmm.
write myself a check every year in a vision board, and like I hit my goals every year. I've never not hit them. My one thing is last year I just like written an enjoy year. Like I'm not trying to like do something.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have fun with it, enjoy, put the drivers in the driver's seats, and me just
Yes.
like be able to float in and out and enjoy what has been built instead of going and going. Inevitably, we made more money. Inevitably, it all happened. But my thing is like, I think that's important too, to like identify that you don't always have to have these like lofty goals or having these big things that you need to be going after.
Yeah.
Because like it's an exhausting race with no finish.
Yeah.
So that was last year. This year I have different goals that are like not necessarily like, I wouldn't say like this business will consistently always scale.
Yeah.
But like I have other goals outside of here,
I think that's so hard too, because like when you start growing, I feel like I was in a similar space last year, and it was kind of it's like at one point I felt like because I felt like I was like grinding so much and growing so much, it was like you started losing the joy.
You lose the joy
out of the business. Yeah. And so this last year it was like, for example, if we ever get any like requests for collaborations, and this was the previous episode I just recorded because I have a lot of very strong feelings about those, but but I started doing them like if I wanted to do them out of my own creativity, which I've always had a say in collaborations if I do them. And had creative control. But to me, what I felt like I learned is, as much as I do have a lot of creative control with my clients, like there's sometimes like some crazy stuff that like a client's not going to ask me for, and I just want to go and do myself. And so that's what I ended up deciding to start doing, which was like just doing something creative like for myself.
Yeah.
And then I actually started doing, it's like once you start doing events, I've always loved design. So I stopped doing stuff at like my own house. And then because you're so much into like events and setting up that you stop doing it. And that's when I was like, oh, you need to start like doing the things for yourself. And that's what you were kind of like losing out on. And so, this year, my goal was to inject more fun, because sometimes it's like, I think people are like, oh, you're putting on parties. I'm like, but it's still pretty serious. Like if you are a professional and you do a really good job, but then I was like, I need to learn to like loosen up a little bit. And that was my goal for myself this year, was making sure that everybody like is having fun at events. But sometimes it's like we have 2 hours and you better get all of this set up. Like there's not a lot sometimes.
No, there are definitely days that it's less fun than others. I say we like love this most days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way.
Most days we love this.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't imagine being anything else or doing anything else.
Me either. This is the end of the episode, but make sure you're following along so you can tune into more episodes on your favorite platform. I have so much more to share with you. Now, a quick ask. I want to keep bringing you these free educational podcasts so that you can build the event business that you want. You can make that possible by simply sharing this episode with your friend, following us on your favorite platform, and leaving us a review. It takes just a moment, and it makes sure that I can keep bringing you the best quality content so that you can go from pop-up to powerhouse.